Lawyer coming to you on a late Saturday evening with round 2 of this crazy thing that we have going on right here. The fact that now families can get open work permits. Now, the question that I want to address today is, what does this mean for people who are looking to immigrate to Canada? So we know that just on Friday, I did this awesome video. I was so stoked. We were out of the gate so fast talking about what this actually means, who could qualify potentially for this. And yes, Casey, I am late. It is really late, but hey, that's how I roll. That's how I roll. So I did an awesome little video, but I'll show you something that's just driving me crazy. This social media stuff is insane. Okay, take a look at this. Look at this. See all these awesome videos here? Do you see these as I go across here? What do we not see? That's a great video by Alicia. If I go to videos here on the YouTube channel, it's not here. So what the heck is going on? So I went and covered this in a fair amount of detail, as much detail as you can when you just get it and just open it up. But for whatever reason, YouTube, I guess I must have done something wrong. I don't know. Maybe they didn't like the minister. Maybe it was the music that I used. Maybe it was something I said. I don't know. But anyways, they've throttled it. So I'm going with 2.0 here. And if you haven't had a chance to watch this video or really get any detailed insight into this new update, this is what I'm going to be talking about today. So because this is spontaneous, a lot of people haven't had a chance to connect in, and there was no announcement. I just decided to go live. Rupinder, it's good to see you. Akansha, it's good to see you. Yes, it is a surprise. And Casey says, your content is really great, Mark. Your podcast helped me quite a bit during my EP to be an RCIC. Awesome, that's great. We've got Petra over in Whistler. Saw this update yesterday. What the heck? We're going to talk more about that today. And please confirm if mother lived with children since 3 years, she's illegal for this to get work permits. We can't. I'm going to need more information than that. Okarut, it's good to see you. And Diana, yes. Hello, Mark. I'm crossing my fingers that announcement helps my case. And there's a lot of you here. So I want to just let you guys know that we will spend some time with some Q&A right at the end. But I want to point out something right here. Do you see? Oh, right here. Do you see this? This is a big shout out to my awesome wife, Deanna, who created me the Canada Immigration Christmas tree. And so what I want to do here, if I can line this up properly, is I've actually created here. Now, you guys have got this update probably. Every time you go into your Mac, you get this, when you try to connect into your camera, this thing takes over. So I thought, you know what? I'm gonna use this to my advantage. And you can see that I've got a blur feature on my camera here. So I want to show you guys my Canada Immigration Christmas tree, and then we'll dive into this right here and talk about this in detail, as well as what this means for people looking to immigrate to Canada. So let's try this. I can see if I can get this to work here. Oh yeah. Okay. So now you guys can see this is a little bit clearer. We're gonna jump in. I'm actually gonna switch my audio so that I think it should work. iMac audio. Yeah. Okay, you guys can see this. So check this out. I am super, super proud of my wife. This is the coolest Christmas tree ever. Look at this thing. Okay, look at the ornaments. So we've got the passport, right? Canada passport. That's what we're all searching for. Well, wait a minute. I guess I have a passport already. But anyway, so there's the passport, okay? And then we got the Canada, the maple leaf up here. These are some really cool things. We've got a loon. These are all iconic things when it comes to Canada. We've got, of course, Hockey Team Canada jersey. And then if we turn it a little bit, of course, we've got the RCMP bear here. And then hockey sticks, absolutely. We have here the Wapiti, the mighty elk is on here. And then if we flip this around to the other side, you'll see that, of course, we have skis and our amazing moose right here. So big shout out to my awesome wife who made this fantastic Christmas tree for me. So thank you so much, Deanna. I really appreciate that. Then you guys can see a little bit more clearly what I've got up there with all the fun stuff. Yes, the world needs more Canada, right? Anyway, so I thought I'd just share that with you guys. And let's jump back here. And to the, there we go, back to the Roadcaster. All right, so I just wanted to share that with you guys. And yeah, because this is going to be up all through the month of December. Really, really excited about that. So those who are tuning in, we're going to talk about this in detail, what it means for immigrants who are coming. And we know right now that the government has a huge, huge priority in meeting our labor demands. And in the early 2000s, this is what it felt like when we had less than 3% unemployment in Alberta, my home province, and it was impossible for anyone to get anyone to work. So those of you who are outside of Canada, this is actually really good news. I'm working with an employer right now that we're starting with, well, they need up to 500, well, even 1,000 workers for one of their big major projects, well, a number of them. And so stay tuned because I'm going to have more information about that, but never before. And I don't think even in the early 2000s are things going to be as awesome as they are if you're a foreign national looking to come. You don't maybe have enough human capital to go through, if the minister continues on with his no program specified draws, of course, none of you are going to be able to have enough points. Even with French, sometimes you don't have enough points. But if he starts to do his targeted draws, it's going to either benefit some people or it's going to harm others. But the reality is, if you can get a job offer from a Canadian employer, the whole world opens up to you, doesn't it? So I want to talk about this, okay? So employers and temporary workers to benefit from family work permits to address labor shortages. Yes, that is absolutely it. And yes, I did this video on Friday. So if you're watching it for the first time, I'm going to open it up to questions after, but I want to give you some insight that you've probably never had addressed to this stage. So when we're looking at this, just to give it a high level, remember, this is not going to be just open season for anyone. This is very targeted. They're looking at family members of foreign workers in Canada, and it's going to be rolled out in phases. The first one, and you can see here, starting in January of 2023, and we can expand this a little bit so you guys can see it a little bit better. Starting January of 2023, and just for those of you who are tuning in who somehow might have been sleeping somewhere or I don't know, hungover or what, if you missed this announcement, this is actually a really, really big deal. So on December, on Friday, just yesterday, yes, I did that video, but apparently whatever, Google didn't like it or YouTube. Anyway, so starting January 2023, doesn't say January the 1st. Maybe it's January the 1st. We don't know, but this is going to be a New Year's Eve and a New Year's Day present, hopefully, for people. But it's only initially set as a 2-year measure. So it's a pilot. It's not a guarantee that it's going to be around forever, but the whole gist of it is to expand eligibility to work in Canada for spouses and working age children. In the past, when I started my practice back in the early 2000s, in Alberta, children of skilled workers who were 16 years old or older could get open work permits to work, all right? And they had that for a while. And then what happened was, over time, as the economy started to slow down and Canadian kids weren't getting jobs that they were hoping in the summer because they were being taken up by foreign workers working at McDonald's or whatever. And you know what, I'll show you this here. Let me just see if I can find, I'm gonna show you a historical little snapshot if I can. CBC, go public. Let's see, 2014, McDonald's foreign worker program. Okay, let's see if we can even find some of the, there we go, perfect, okay? So this is an example of what happened back in 2014 that put a chill on a lot of this stuff. But you can see here, Ottawa, you can see cracks down over Canadian worker complaints of fewer jobs, less hours. Okay, so back in that day, there was this guy, I wonder if he's still got a picture of him. Oh yeah, he was complaining basically that he wasn't getting hours. Tim Turcotte here says he's dropped off 60 resumes at various McDonald's locations in the last 2 years. He says he has restaurant experience and told the manager at the Victoria Pandora Avenue location he could work night or day, but never got a call back. Okay, so this is the world that we were living in back in, the 2000s, and well, really even in the early 2000s when the world of immigration was just going crazy. I'm actually going to turn off my little camera here. I'm going to disconnect it because that's what's slowing my feed down here. But in that previous world, the early 2000s, employers couldn't find workers anywhere. But as the global recession kind of hit in the late 2000s, well, 2008, 2009, then things started to slow down. But a lot of the fast food franchises were using the foreign worker program as a way to fill and staff and grow their franchises using foreign workers, because the theory was Canadians weren't available to do the work. And so we had individuals like this who were saying, wait a minute, I'm not getting a job. And where do kids get their first job? It's usually in food service or in the service industry generally. And so what this is right now, what we're seeing when we get a message from the minister, yes, minister right here. Let's see if he comes on and joins us. Oh, he's not joining us. Let's go back. Oh, I'm slowed down here. I've got too many things going on once again. Oh yeah, it's a little bit delayed. So right here, he'll join us. So Minister Fraser, what he has right now is a situation where there is massive shortages on the horizon, massive. And they know that they have to do something about it. So all of the messaging that we're seeing from Minister Fraser is all focused and geared upon meeting labor shortage demands. So if we go through here anyways, you can see the whole goal of this is to expand eligibility to work in Canada to spouses and working age children through a phased approach for workers. And this is the cool part, at all skill levels. So if you, I also want to identify this too, you guys, this would include families of, and he specifically identified industries, healthcare, trades, hospitality, for example. Well, why would he specifically target that? What we don't know is whether or not for the low skill, low wage people, because he said at all skill levels, if the skill level in the low range is going to somehow be restricted to industry. We don't know, we'll see, but why would he indicate that? So it's going to be a three-phase approach. Phase one, which is going to happen in January, is, and remember, just to put this into context, everyone, the reality is Minister Fraser here, he's got a program that already grants spousal open work permits to anyone who's a skilled worker who brings a spouse with them. That spouse can get an open work permit. So that's our, what, C41? And then the 42, I believe, I don't know, sometimes I always confuse the numbers. C42s are when you're studying and your spouse gets an open work permit while you're a full-time student on a study permit. Well, the headache that many people run into is if they're transitioning out of school and don't have that skilled work permit right now, well, Minister Fraser's program doesn't let that spouse get an open work permit until you have secured a NOC, used to be B, right? B or higher. Now it's tier 3 or higher. That's the way the rule was established. So right now, if you have a spouse and you're working as a food counter attendant at McDonald's, it won't work for you. You absolutely need to be working in a tier 3 or higher position in order for your spouse to get an open work permit. Well, this change right here, you guys, will pull the minister away. This change, as of January, will enable family members of workers coming to Canada through the high wage stream. I don't know why they referred to high wage. I don't know why they didn't just refer to skilled or no skill, because that's really what it's based upon. If you go here, what is high wage? Well, if you're referring to high wage, they would mean workers who were earning, say, for example, in Alberta, at least $28.85. BC, $26.44 or higher. If we go down to Ontario, $26.06. So these are the wages that are considered between high and low for the purposes of the foreign worker program. So I'm not quite sure exactly why the minister is referring to it as high wage stream, but basically what they're targeting is people that are in skilled occupations. So before January, so right now, only high wage workers who have a spouse here, those spouses can get a work permit. Who can't get a work permit? They're working age kids. So as of January, high wage stream for temporary foreign workers or international mobility programs. So these are the people on LMIAs. These are everybody else to apply for an open work permit. And it says family members. So that extends beyond just a spouse to, and where do we know? What are the parameters? They specifically say working age children. Why didn't they say adult children? Well, maybe they're going to push it down to 16. That's possible. So maybe those kids, when they're outside of high school in the summer, can work. Maybe. Or maybe they're going to put it to 18. We will see. As soon as I hear, you'll be the first to know. All right, so if we scroll down here, phase one, okay, so that's phase one, letting kids of skilled workers work with their mother or father, with their parents. Now, phase two aims to expand the measure to the family members of, yes, indeed, low wage stream, okay, of the temporary foreign worker program following consultations. So apparently they're going to do it sometime. We don't know when it's going to kick in, but this is a huge, huge thing. Why is this right here so important? Because, and if the minister comes on and joins me, he knows that we need to get workers to fill these labor shortages, and that the low-level positions are going to be just as important to fill as the high wage, high skill. And how do you get low-wage people here? Well, you say, if you come and you're working for some remote rural community in a restaurant there, your spouse can work at the hardware store, right? That's what we're talking about. We're looking at the expansion of this. And for those of you out there, I'm going to flip back here. If you have not yet watched the video, we'll pull the minister off here. The video that I did on YouTube right here, if we scroll down, this TR to PR top 6 takeaways, I highlighted at length where I think the minister is going to go next year, including the industries and all of the things that people just glossed over when he released his report, which to many was like fluff. There was nothing in it. Well, there was tons in it if you knew where to look. So I tried to share that with you in this video. If you haven't quite watched it, head back over there and look at it. But the reality is, these individuals now, no longer is there a distinction between high wage, low wage, or I shouldn't say no longer will there be in the new year a difference between spousal open work permits for high wage or low wage, or high skill or low skill. All right. So that's the huge, huge thing. So if you're coming over, you're an international student, your spouse comes with you, and they are able to get an open work permit while you're going to school. No longer, if this rolls out how we think it will with phase two, will you have to stress about demonstrating that you have a skilled work permit, like an actual job at tier 3 or higher. No longer will you have to do that. That's what's so good about this. So your spouse can come and there's no danger of them having to fall out of status or be able to have to stop work. Why? Because Canadian companies need workers. We need you. All right. So flip back here again and let's touch on some of the variations after this. Okay. So let's flip it over here. Okay. So if you look here, so phase two, and once again, there's no timeline on this, you guys, but phase two right here, as we're pulling this up, you can see this addresses family member work permits. So this is kids as well of low wage stream workers. And then the most interesting aspect is phase three, which includes agricultural partners. So they have to talk about agricultural partners and stakeholders to assess the feasibility to expand the measures to all ag workers. Now, this is actually quite huge because what are ag workers typically? They're seasonal. So they're considering even letting spouses and other family members come with seasonal workers to Canada to work. And that's something that's never, ever been considered before. So that's really what we have, this three-phased approach to expand the ability of IRCC to grant open work permits to family members of foreign workers in Canada. So Minister Fraser, see if he comes and joins us here. We are grateful for this, this decision that he made to expand this. This is a good deal. So kudos to you. All right, now let's take a look at this in the grand scheme of things. Let's take a look at what this really means for the purposes of the future for people looking to immigrate to Canada. So in this, and let's pull this back here, in November, on November the 1st of this year, 2022, the government released their levels plan. Okay. And this case, the levels plan, which is they usually are supposed to release it in November. This is for 2023 to 2005, the immigration levels plans. Earlier this year, they released an earlier one that was a little bit late for 2022 to 2024. There was elections, there was things going on, so they weren't able to release this sooner. I'm going to back this off just a little bit so that you guys can see this just a little bit better. It's a little bit smaller, but you guys can still see it. So this is 2022 to 2024. And this shows their projections for how many immigrants they want to bring in. So what we're looking at here is 2023 and their target of 447,055. And then 2024, 451,000. But what I want to share with you guys is that this is not locked in. This is a projection. So as early as February the 14th, I guess that's Valentine's Day, 2022, when they released the report, their projection for 2023 was 447. But the government realized, our dear minister here, if he's going to come and join us, our minister realized that this wasn't going to be good enough, that our immigration levels, with our economy heating up, let's see if we can get him on here, with our economy heating up, it was not going to be enough to be able to meet the demand for workers. So, I guess I brought him on and he disappeared. So what did they decide to do? Well, let's flip over and let's take a look here. Hopefully it's still broadcasting here. All right, so let's take a look. And those of you who have questions, don't hesitate to reach out and post them. I'm not quite sure if we're still good and the connection is still alive, but don't hesitate to continue posting questions. Okay. All right. So let's jump on here. I know I've got a little bit of problems with my system here, so I'm not sure if everybody can still see this. But what I want to show you is this is the levels plan as of February. So when they released this on November the 1st, they released this, which is the 2023 to 2025. Now I want to show you guys this. Look at 2023, next year, the figures, 465. Wait a minute. What? Look at there in February, they intended to bring in 447,000 for 2023. Okay. So let's flip over here. And what's the projection for, did they think in February, actually in November, 465,000. And then look at 2024, 485,000 is what they projected. Well, what did they think they were going to need last February? Well, if we go here, you can see only 451,000, right? So you guys can see from this where the direction that the government is going. They are doing everything they can because industry is screaming at them that they cannot find people. And with the rate at which the economy is heating up, unless we can get the workers that we need, well, it is going to cause a slowdown in the economic recovery following the crazy pandemic that we went through. So that's something that I wanted to point out to you guys. What it means right now is that there are going to be more jobs available for people outside of Canada looking to work in Canada than there ever were before. Well, at least that's the direction that things are going. And as long as our government and our minister continues to institute new programs to allow for this, and the labor shortages, they recognize fully that foreign nationals are going to be the ones to make the difference. Well, there's going to be change occurring. So I want to show you something. We're going to jump back right here to this screen, and we're going to look at really what the government's intentions are as of November the 1st. So if we look here at this little infographic, let's take a look at the messaging they're trying to get the rest of Canada to understand. Us immigration lawyers and consultants and those working in the industry, we get it. We know where things are at. We're dealing with the companies and corporations that are desperate to find people to fill the labor shortages. But this is the messaging they're trying to get out to the rest of the Canadian population. You guys, to tell them, you guys are not taking their jobs. But in fact, you are giving companies the ability to bid on large projects because they know that if there isn't enough Canadians, even when they hire all of you, that the project can still go ahead because they can fill it with foreign workers to make sure that all of the critical positions are filled. And that goes from the top all the way down to the bottom. So you can see here, immigrants have been essential to Canada's post-pandemic economic recovery. And they talk about in 2021 how over 191,000 individuals transitioned from temporary to permanent residence, right? And this goes back to the video that I did right here on the TR to PR, the top 6 takeaways, this one right here. That video right there, I talk at length on how important this transition to a world of people working and transitioning to permanent residences for our government and the immigration department. Okay. So immigrants, you can see here, immigration accounts for nearly 100% of Canada's labor force growth. that means that our Canadians are full. Like we're filling the positions, but they're just meeting the very basic level. They're meeting the, the threshold of existing jobs. They're filling them. But all the new creation of jobs, it's occurring as a result of immigrants coming in and filling those positions, and foreign workers. They're filling all those spots to make sure that our economy continues to move forward based on filling the need for workers. Canada's post-pandemic recovery has been among the strongest in the world. This is where they're patting themselves on the back. I don't know if you can see this. Here, I'm patting myself right here, patting myself on the back. That's what they're doing, patting themselves on the back. So they say, oh, it's been among the strongest in the world, with more than 900,000 unfilled positions still remain across all sectors. Can you believe that? So out of everybody that's come, those massive high numbers that they've pointed to right here, and let's drop this back down for a second so you guys can see this. Remember, this year, 2023, they're looking at 465,000. And then if we just go down, actually, maybe I can just bump it over here. Let's see, bump it over. Yeah, I can. Good. Okay, so you can see here the total numbers. That's where they're shooting for 500,000 in 2025. Now, who's to say that that number will not be higher, right? 2024, they said 400. They're now up to 485. But less than 1 year ago, you guys, less than 1 year, back in February, they were saying for 2024 that 451,000 was what they needed. So, and even the high range was 475. So you can see what's happening. You can see the trends. And yes, we've been through some crappy times, but they're going to change. Let's flip back to this little infographic and look at the rest of this information. So you can see 2023 to 25, they highlight blah, blah, blah. They welcomed 465 permanent residents in 2023, 485 in 24, and 525. Okay, we knew that. The plan is focused on spreading the benefits of immigration to regions and communities across Canada. Let me blow this up. Okay, I'm a farm kid, you guys. I am a farm kid. I'm a product of a farm where I raised, our family raised chickens. We had big, large gardens that we grew our own food. We had a root cellar in our little old farmhouse where we opened this door and we walked down these steps, and it was basically a dirt hole underneath our house. We had no basement, but that root cellar is where we filled up all our potatoes through the winter. I remember as a kid having to go down into that root cellar and having to pull sprouts off of the potatoes as they would grow in the dark in the basement. And we stored our carrots down there and the vegetables that we harvested from our garden. So agriculture is my life. We had cattle. I remember getting up as a kid. My dad got sick when we were still really young, like 10 years old, 11 years old. My dad had to have some open heart surgeries, and so he wasn't able to work on the farm. Me and my 13-year-old brother at the time, we basically had to run the farm. And I remember getting up at like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning when it was minus 40 degrees Celsius. And we had to go out and look and check the cows to see if there were any calves that were born that would freeze. And we grabbed the calves. Sometimes the cows weren't interested in letting us take their calves, but we would take these newborn calves and we would put them in the truck and we would take them, or the sled or whatever we had to pull them back on. And we would literally bring them into the house to stay warm so that they wouldn't freeze to death because it was so cold. But that is the world that I came from. That is me. I wasn't a city slicker. I wasn't born in a city. I'm a country kid. And so when I look at this and I see the government recognizing, you can see this, right? Why do they have a farmhouse right there with trees, right? And crops? Like, there's a reason why they're messaging that, because they want immigrants to spread and fill positions outside of the major centers. When you're thinking of immigrating to Canada, Toronto and Vancouver is the last place you guys should be thinking. Okay, so spreading the benefits of immigration to regions and communities across Canada. Alberta has a rural renewal stream. There's the Rural Northern Immigration Program. There's the Atlantic Immigration Program. Do you see? How many new programs are there to encourage people to go to Ontario or to British Columbia? Well, yes, those PNP programs, the immigrant nominee programs in those provinces, have programs designed to facilitate key targeted people that they want. BC, the tech, right? For example, Ontario has had the human capital priority stream, right? They can handpick the best and brightest, right? Because they've got so many of you there. You know that over 49% of international students decided to go to Ontario to study. So you've got all these things at play, but there is a massive push from Minister Fraser to encourage people to go into other areas. All right, so if we keep going down here, what other priorities do they have? Okay, by 2025, overall admissions will amount to nearly 1.3% of the Canadian population, with 60% or more of admissions in the economic classes. What are those? If we go back here to our immigration levels plans, and let's back this off, and so you guys can see this. So if I just move this over, you'll see these are the immigration categories. So this is the one that most of you are interested in. These are the high level numbers right here, right? But what most people are interested in is these. Federal high skilled, 82,880 is their target. These 25 are the remnants of the TR to PR pathway. But there are other programs, federal business, the economic pilots, and what do you see here? Agriculture, rural and northern immigration, economic mobility pathway, that's for refugees and asylum seekers who have economic skills, Atlantic immigration program, PNPs. Look at how massively, expansive the PNPs have become. In the next year, 2023, yes, you add all these others in, but the pure federal high skilled, which is the Canadian experience class, the federal skilled worker, and the federal skilled trade, only amount to 82,880. It's the PNPs outside of, traditionally Ontario, Quebec. Yes, it includes, Ontario, BC. Quebec has its own deal, as you can see here, the Quebec immigration plan. But you can see how important it is. And so in the following year, in 2024, 110,000 PNPs. And if we scroll up here, we're just about back up to even split at 109. And then if we go a little bit further to 2025 right here, of these 500, 114,000 is the target for the federal high skill. And then the PNPs are still just a slight bit higher at 117. So you can see that kind of even split. Okay. So I just wanted you guys to see that this is the direction that our government is going. So educate yourself, be aware of it. Look outside those major communities, especially if you want to immigrate to Canada. Now, what else do we have here? Let's expand this back up so you guys can see. Remember, 4.4% of all economic federal, candidates who are coming and immigrating, the goal is for them to bring in, and this is outside of the province of Quebec, at least 4.4% total of all of the people that immigrate having French language ability. And then finally, once again, you can see here, employers in communities across Canada will be supported to fill their critical labor needs. So do you think that they knew that this was going to happen right here? And I'll shrink this back down. Do you think they knew, if December the 2nd is when they were going to release it, back on this, November 1st, you're darn rights they knew that they were going to be releasing this and expanding it. And if you look here, guys, as we look at all of this, yes, there's negotiations. They're going to be looking at it, but they recognize that immigration will continue to play a vital role in addressing Canada's labor shortages, and the government of Canada will continue to implement policies aimed at helping employers with their staffing needs across all skill levels. So back to what I was talking to you about. I'm starting to get tons of calls from companies looking to source foreign workers to fill their labor needs. And in the past, they always had to go through the labor market impact assessment. And when the recession was happening and when the unemployment rates were high, it was pretty much impossible to get a labor market impact assessment, but not anymore, because there is a guaranteed recognition that there are shortages across the board. So if you're a company, well, head on over and connect with us at our firm. Connect with our law firm, and all you have to do is click on Speak to a Lawyer, and our business immigration programs are tailored to companies. So the services that we offer with our business immigration, it covers a wide variety of different areas of immigration. Business immigration is like a buffet. It's like, when companies reach out to us, and I'd say probably 80% of my practice when I first started was all focused on business immigration, large multinational companies, because I started in the midst of a boom in Alberta. And then the economy changed. I transitioned to working with all you amazing people. And now the companies are calling again, but this time I'm prepared. So this time I have a fantastic group. If you go right here and you check out our team here, I've got a fantastic group of lawyers, myself, Alicia, Chanel, and Cedric now. And Igor is coming on now. Pretty soon he's going to be joining the ranks of the firm as well, as he finalizes the last components of his credentials to become a practicing lawyer in Alberta. Just super excited. So not only can we continue to help you guys, but everyone else. All right. So I know this is, we've covered a lot of ground on here, and hopefully this, YouTube isn't going to block it, but this is stuff that you guys need to understand. And yeah, let's open it up to a couple questions. And then I have to get back quick to see how my Flames are doing against the Washington Capitals in their hockey game. So I'll answer just a couple questions and then we'll wrap it up here. So let's see what we have here. So we've got Katamba, who's connecting in from Uganda. Ty says, hi, does this work permit extend to foreigners living in the US? Well, it doesn't matter where you live. There's no geographic, restrictions. If there's a spouse who's a principal applicant who gets a work permit, then their spouse and eventually their family members and working age children will be able to get work permits as well. Okay. Rashid, good to see you over in London. Let's see here. And I'm going to keep the questions just focused specifically on what we're talking about right now, which is this new program. Remember, every Wednesday, except this Wednesday, I won't be doing it because I'm going to be down in Nashville, attending some meetings, and my wife is coming with me. That'll be lots of fun. So I'm going to be out there. Okay. Let's see here. Mosamat says, hey, is there any updates for freelancers? I'm a single mother who has more than 7 years of experience in freelancing, but not in a full-time job. 1 year of experience in full-time job. Okay. Well, all of these questions, when people say, hey, Mark, can I qualify? What do I need to do? Well, I will usually what I do is I ring this. Oh, let's see. We don't have our sound effects turned on here. I will ring my sound effect bell and then I will transition you. It looks like I've got too many things going on here. I probably need to turn off my ticker too. That's probably one of the issues, is the ticker. Let's get rid of the ticker here and see if that helps. I will direct you guys back here to our firm website, and then right up at the top here, all you have to do is click on Speak to a Lawyer, and very easily you can book a consult with any one of our lawyers. And you're always going to be able to find someone right away to book a consult with, because we've got it all spread out so that no one has to wait to get the consult booked. Okay. Okay. Jessica says, hi, Mark, I'm so sad. For 2 points, I haven't been accepted for the express entry pool. Even though I have a PhD degree and had good IELTS score, can I have any suggestions from you, please? Book a consult, Jessica. Book a consult and let's take a look and see what the issue is. Okay. When will the TR to PR released? Hey, the minister's got plans. Now, in terms of TR to PR, I don't think he's going to create another identical program to the other TR to PR, but he could very well, within the confines of the express entry system and the existing powers that he has under Bill C-19, have the ability to target just international students and say, hey, if you're an international student and you've got 1 year of post-grad work permit experience, well, I'm going to give you an extra 50 points. He could do that very easily. Or he could say only international students that have a post-grad work permit and 1 year of work experience on that post-grad work permit can apply or are eligible under this draw. All kinds of powers. Okay. Okay. Joyitas says, my husband is in India and I am in work permit. Can I bring him here under this policy? Well, if your work permit, your current work permit is a skilled one, tier 3 or higher, well, the ability for you to apply exists right now. Okay. Newton says, is it possible to apply for a TRV and a postgrad at the same time, or do I have to wait for my postgrad first, then apply for a TRV? Okay, Newton, a postgrad work permit comes off of your study permit. So you might be confusing. You need to be in Canada. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, when it comes to applying for a temporary resident visa I think I understand what you mean. Okay, I think what you mean is applying to extend your postgrad and a TRV at the same time, and then apply. Do you know what, Newton? I recommend that you book a consult so that I can understand exactly what you're asking. Anytime you guys ask me, hey, what do I do personally? That's a consult. So book a consult. Okay, Jaspreet says, why they not clear study visa backlog? I don't know. You have to ask a certain fellow. I have no clue. Maybe try this guy right here. Ask him, because I don't know. I can't answer that. And I hear you. I hear the frustration. New programs, but are they dealing with the ones that are there? The problems that exist? Okay, Anish says, my postgrad expires in March. Do you think there will be a program to extend the visa automatically? I don't think there's going to be a program to extend automatically. But ultimately, I think there will be permanent resident options, because the minister can't delay this any longer. Like, he has to move forward in the new year with extending, more CEC draws or whatever powers he can for everyone. Okay, you're welcome, Okarut. My pleasure. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this one up. Thanks for watching. Remember, this is all fantastic news. Open work permits for spouses of low wage, coming in phase 2 of this new announcement, and family members. So what do they mean by family members? Working age children. So we'll see how this works out. More news to come. All right. Take care, guys. I'm off to watch the Flames.